Hey, Kabul, welcome. Agbo Ato, blessing of long life. Adupwe, Ori Egun, we thank the ancestors for the wisdom. This is the first in a series of conversations about OrIki, kind of doing a dive into the symbolic liturgical language encapsulated in OrIki. But before we do that, let's do a little overview, perhaps, of the role and function of OrIki. So OrIki are essentially invocations. The literal translation of OrIki is OrIki, from the meaning the primal source of praise for consciousness. So Ifa teaches that everything in creation has consciousness. So when we say ki, it's to praise something. Ki is to really praise the fundamental essence of a thing. So we invoke a particular form of consciousness by describing it, which is why I think there's importance in understanding the words that we're speaking. OrIki. So if we look at it this way, Ifa is essentially a problem-solving spiritual discipline in which problems are solved by expanding our consciousness. So we expand our consciousness by connecting our Ori, our personal Ori, with the Ori of frequencies beyond our own life experience, sometimes called spirit. So in Ifa, we deal with the frequencies, fundamentally, I would say, of ancestral spirits, the frequencies of Orisha, the frequencies of Iami, the frequencies of Ela. And each of these frequencies gives us, I would say, instruction and inspiration on how to deal with particular issues. So if you're engaged in the Ifa spiritual discipline of daily morning prayer, then when we get an Odu, it identifies as the challenge for the day, and then the OrIki associated with each Odu then becomes the source of inspiration for dealing with a particular issue. So be clear, there's two ways to access OrIki as it relates to Odu as a solution to the problem. OrIki is really the great gift of traditional Yoruba culture to the people of the world. It gives us a series of words that resonate at a frequency that tune our own consciousness into the conscious, I call it stream of information related to one of the 256 basic frequencies of creation. And these are just a tremendous source of inspiration and information that really make it easier for us to get through the day. So I know I traditionally greet everybody as they come online, but we're going to post these in various formats. So welcome everybody. If you have questions as we go along, just post them and I'll do my best to answer them before we call it a day. So the function of OrIki is to put us into an altered state of consciousness. I mean, this really goes to the heart of a fundamental controversy in our community. Some people say Ifa priests don't go into possession. I would argue there is no Ifa priesthood without possession. So it's a radically different point of view. But I think the proof is in the pudding. The facts are in the history. For example, people say there is no possession of an Ifa priest by the spirit of Ela, but the Holy Odu Ogundo Sa says this is the OrIki for possession with the spirit of Ela. So it makes no sense to have that included in our corpus of our Holy Scripture unless it was a real phenomenon. So I don't know what to say about that other than I believe it's a part of our faith and one that we should pay attention to. It's really a tremendous resource that can get us to a place where we're able to look at a problem and its solution really in the same moment, which really makes it a lot easier to get through the day. It's really an incredible blessing of incalculable value. So when we're looking at Odu, there's OrIki that are coded into the verse of Odu. That's kind of a lengthy discussion, which we won't go in fully today. But essentially, if you come across a verse that says, they said, they sang, quotes, the words that follow is the OrIki Ire for that verse. But be clear, the OrIki Ire from the verse is spoken after you invoke the Orisha that speaks in the verse. All right, so that begs the question, which Orisha speak in which verse? So let's go over that quickly. Ogbe Obatala, Oyeku, Egun, Iwori, Agayu, Odi, Yemaya, Irosun, Egun, and Shango, Owanran, Esu, Obara, Shango, Okanran, Ochosi, Ogunda, Ogun, Osa, Oya, Ika, Iami, Oturapan, Omalu, Otura, Obatala, where are we? Irite, Iami, Oshe, Oshun, and Ofun, Obatala. So, if you have an Odu, you take the two legs and you invoke the spirit that speaks in each leg. It's more effective to do it one at a time. So if you get the Odu, Ogbe Ogunda, for example, you would invoke Obatala and then look for the OrIki Ire in the verses that best reflects the Ashe of Obatala. And then you could invoke Ogun, so you look through the verse to find the OrIki Ire in the verse of the Odu that best reflects the Ashe of Ogun, and that way you have kind of a two-sided perspective on the question at hand. If you invoke, you can invoke all of that at once, but it's, in my experience, a little less effective because it's like too much information at once. The other thing you can always do is invoke Elah. Elah has the function of being a shapeshifter and will literally morph into whatever Orisha you need to accomplish specific functions. So for today, we're going to get started. For those of you that are interested, I will post these OrIki on the Egbe page. I think I already did. I don't remember. But I'll make sure they're on today. And they're also available in my book called OrIki. So we're just going to start with the first page and work our way through the book. I'm going to start by first reading the OrIki in Yoruba so we get some sense of the pronunciation. Then I'll go back over the translation and share with you my best understanding of what the translation means, and then I'll sing it. I'll be clear that OrIki are sung as heart song. In other words, the way I sing it is not the way to sing it, it's the way I sing it. Everybody has their own way of singing OrIki, and that's perfectly acceptable. I think the way we sing OrIki reflects our interest in music. It reflects our culture in some ways. It reflects the music we grew up with. It's a combination of all those things. It also reflects the Orisha that we have. I think different Orisha approach singing OrIki differently as well. All right, so this is Egun Jewa Mimu, which is the OrIki for pouring libations at the beginning of a ceremony. Ibashe Oshe Oyeku, Inle Oramio, Eye Dudu Baro Babalao La Poiri, Eye Dudu Baro Babalao Manio, Igba Karindin Logun Adana Igbo Oshe, Odigba Karindin Logun Adana Igbo Oshe, Now Ramio, Ojo Geri Geri Geri, Si Owoko Otun, Ogba Re Si, Tosi O, Ora Merendin Logun, Ni Won Imadana Ifasi, Emi O Mona Kan Ayetik Ba Rele Jogun Ashe. Okay, so that's the basic pronunciation of the Yoruba for this OrIki. Be clear, there are over 200 dialects of Yoruba, so that's the way I pronounce it based on most of my experience coming from listening to the dialect is spoken in Ogun State. So, first sentence, Iba She Oshe Oyeku, I respect the sacred scripture that guides our communication with the ancestors. A better translation would be, I respect Oshe Oyeku, the sacred scripture that guides our communication with the ancestors. Oshe is the power to have our prayers heard in heaven. Oyeku is an interesting word if you look at the lesion Oye Iku, meaning understanding death. But if you take it to the next step, it's also Oyeye Iku, spirit of the mothers of death. So understanding Oye is actually can be further broken down into Oyeye, identifying understanding as the spirit of what I would call female consciousness, or it always gets backwards. I think it's right brain consciousness, but in other words, the ability to empathize and intuit is a real fundamental aspect of understanding, as it's understood in traditional Yoruba culture. When the elders in Nigeria say think, they point to their heart, not their head. That's very telling, I think. Enleo Ramio, I am greeting you, my friends. Ramio Enlay. So it's literally saying the house of the earth guides me, or identifies people as friends. Eye Dudu Bara Bababa. Babalao La Mpoiri, the blackbird touched the die in the name of the diviners. So blackbird, maybe one of the inner secrets of Egungun is that the blackbird of Iami is invoked for Egun possession to protect the medium. It's one of a number of invocations. In other words, when we invoke Egun, we invoke Eshu Anunnaki. We invoke Oya, we invoke Iami, we invoke Iami Dudu for protection. Then we invoke Ela, and then we invoke the ancestors. So it's a cumulative effect of those spirits coming together to access the power of Egun. Egun, remember, being the collective spirit of all of our ancestors. We don't need to do all that when we're specifically concentrating on contacting an ancestor, Uncle Fred, Aunt Sally, whatever. That doesn't require all that invocation, partly because those spiritual forces are easy to access and not require as much openness of our Ori as connecting to all our ancestors at one time. It's a different quality of possession, all right? So the blackbird touched the die. That's talking about the blackbird using the indigo dye to anoint the medium, or to anoint the ceremony. You know, everything we do in Ifa is wash, anoint, invoke, feed, and read. I'm sorry, just give me a second here. Wash, invoke, feed, and read. So, Aye, Dudu, Bara, Babalao, Manio. The blackbird touched the die in the name of all diviners and in his name. So when you're using the die to anoint the ceremony, you're in a sense asking for the blessings of all those mediums who have functioned as diviners, as the oracle. So here it's saying clearly, it's referring to time in the name of the diviners. Okay, so Babalao is a reference to the divination process, but I would argue that the word here in reference to diviners who also function as ancestral mediums. I think that's the connotation. All right, so Igba Karindin Lagoon Adana Igbo O'Shea. 16 times we make a fire in the back of O'Shea. So this is a reference to a shorthand version of invoking the spirit of protection from all 16 Odus. Sometimes when this invocation is done in traditional Yoruba culture in what I would call a longer form, it would be Eye Dudu Ije Ogbe, Eye Dudu Oyeko Meji, and so on. And each of these, so it would be Eye Dudu Ogbe Baro Babalao Poiri. So you're invoking the protective spirit of Ije Ogbe in the name of all the diviners. Odigba Karindin Lagoon Adana Igbo O'Shea Na O Ramio. The 16 fires do not harm me. So when you're dealing with the symbolism of fire, you're dealing with a transformative element that can be disruptive to consciousness. So it's asking the person who's saying the invocation to maybe minimize the effect of the fires on consciousness so we can stay focused. It's kind of the equivalent of with wind, the word tawini wini, bring a gentle wind, so bring a gentle fire. The roaring fire burns to the right, the roaring fire burns to the left. So, let me go back and say that in Yoruba. Odigba Karindin Lagoon Adana Igbo O'Shea Na O Ramio. The 16 fires do not harm me. Ojo Gedi 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 Si Oko Tune. The roaring fire burns to the right. Anything that goes to the right is for spiritual elevation, so it's burning away obstacles to elevation. Ojo Gedi 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 Si Owoko Otun. I just did that, sorry. The roaring fire burns to the right. Ogba Re Si Tosio. The roaring fire burns to the left, so anything that goes to the left is for the purpose of protection. Ora Marindin Lagoon Ni Won Ima Dana Ifasi. It's a misprint. It should say Ina Dana Ifasi. So the 16 places we make fires of wisdom. So this is a reference to using light and fire to illuminate the inner essence of each Odu, and each Odu that brings light or inspiration or knowledge requires an equal amount of protection as we expand our consciousness. All right. So Emi O Mona Khan Ayitik Ba Ba Rele Jogun O Ashe. So that is saying, when I did not know the road to follow, I should have followed destiny. May it be so. So this is a reference to the idea that any problem that confronts us, we know by virtue of the foundations of our faith that we come to earth to develop good character. So let's talk about that. Iwa Pele. A lot of people, not a lot of people, some people argue that the word for good character is Iwa Rere. That's a mistake. Iwa Rere is the Yoruba word for innocence. So we're born with Iya Rere, and as we grow as human beings, we develop Iwa Pele. Those are two different concepts. So we're born in innocence because we've new to the world, made no mistakes, we've made no poor choices. We have nothing to learn from in terms of correcting our behavior. But as we go out in the world and we have choices between right and wrong, good and bad, high and low, empathetic and selfish, as we make those choices, sometimes we're separated from the eternal meaning of Iwa Pele as a spiritual discipline. So the Odu is saying that no matter what your issue is, no matter what the problem is, no matter what your concern, no matter what it is you're trying to fix, no matter what it is you're trying to figure out, no solution to any problem is in contradiction to Iwa Pele. When I did not know the road to follow, I should have followed destiny. Is a Yoruba proverb that says "Iyanmo ni iwa pele ni iyanmo," meaning destiny is good character is destiny. So if you don't have your divination chain with you out in the street, you got to make a decision. If you're not sure what to do, if you're unclear about how to move forward, this appeal to the wisdom of the ancestors is reminding us that when in doubt, do the right thing. Pretty basic idea within the context of Ifa. So that is what I've got to say. If anybody has any questions, if they would post them now before we call it a day. Let's see what we got here. We got a lot of people online. It's good to see everybody. All right. So I'm not seeing a question. Is that all clear? I hope that's all clear. Tomorrow we'll move forward with excuse me, we'll move forward with the collection in Ego. And remember, the OrIki I'm reading are from my book, OrIki Ego. No, just OrIki is the name of the book. And I will, as soon as I sign off, post the OrIki we discussed today, so you can look at it and contemplate it and add it to your Ifa medicine toolkit. So, last call for questions. For those that came in late, this will be posted. It'll be posted for the rest of the week on the Egbe Iwa Pele page, and then it'll be permanently posted on my website, Awo Falokun.com. Also at awofalokun.com, you can buy my books if you're so inclined, and buy the OrIki book that we're talking about in this series. So thank you. I appreciate it when people come on to study, join hands, and figure out a better way to get through the day. Odabo.